Okay, so I wasn't gonna make this video just yet, but in lieu of the recent wave of layoffs that just happened, I thought it'd be, I guess, a good idea to share some thoughts about what's going on in the industry, and this is just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's anything accurate, but. Let's start by, sharing my opinion on why the industry is here. I'm sure a lot of people have different varying opinions what could be. So, of course, there's the whole AI thing, and I think most people think all these layoffs that are happening are due to AI and all that. And I think it is a factor, but I think it's just like a perfect storm, to be honest. From every single angle, we see in our industry being, I don't know if attacked is the right expression, but it's definitely being hit. Okay. And yes, AI makes it to where, a lot of people with the money that were investing perhaps in the past in entertainment are now investing in AI. AI is a big spectrum, so there's like many things that you can invest in. I guess, no idea. And the other thing is, I think it's not gonna go anywhere. I think we just saw like Sora apparently is shutting down. But anyways, I don't want to get too caught up in the AI thing. I think it's a factor here. We can make a separate video about my thoughts on AI and whatnot. So yeah, it is a factor for these layoffs. Then of course the bounce back from COVID, a lot of studios were signing contracts very quickly. They just started producing content to put in the platforms, and that just now it's like a bounce back to reality, I guess, and out of that. So that's definitely another factor. The strikes also caused this issue as well. It was one of the factors there, in my opinion. Even though the strikes are for a good cause and a good reason, definitely has a waterfall effect, right? And then there's in my opinion, what for a few years we've seen politics kind of like intermingle with the entertainment industry, and that's I think it affected it negatively. We've seen it in both video games and film, and I don't think it's just a me thing. I heard a lot of people talking about that, and if you look into the ESG scores, you start to understand what the incentive behind that is or was. I don't think I've seen so much of that lately, but yeah. And then in the end, it's all about numbers for a company, for any studio. It's all about numbers, and sadly, that affects individuals that are just wanting to work and get paid to do what they love, right? So with that being said, there's a couple of things I would recommend artists to do. I found myself like a year and a half ago in a similar situation, being laid off and whatnot, and just having a family to provide for and not being sure where the income is going to come from was definitely nerve-wracking for me. And I think I went into a desperate mode of trying to find other things outside animation that I could do. And I tried everything. I even tried some AI tools to see what I could do, and I think the first thing that has to come to your mind is being open to just do anything else outside of video game as well, right? If you need an income, you gotta go find it, especially if you have to provide. And there shouldn't be any shame connected to that. It's okay if you have to step aside from the industry for a little bit and then come back. Fortunately for me, I found a job not too long after being laid off, and I've been surviving since then. I just got lucky there, but so other things you can do is also, in the meantime, you can keep improving your skills, because even though this whole AI thing might mean less people at a studio, I believe there's going to be more smaller teams popping up, and I think we are seeing a lot of smaller studio teams opening up and looking for people. It's just not as big a team, because I guess you can achieve with the tools you have today, you can achieve a lot more with less people. There's the engines today like Unreal or even Unity can do a lot that used to not be the case. There's marketplaces to buy prefabs and things like that, right? Like to where you don't have to create everything from scratch. So definitely what I would recommend is keep improving your craft and consider learning other things as well. For me, it was learning a bit more the technical side of things, implementing in the engine and exploring other softwares like Blender and Unreal. Don't be afraid to learn things like rigging and modeling and things like this. You don't have to be a master at it, but it's good if you have some knowledge of how to do these things. I've noticed that a lot of jobs today are asking for way too much. Like they say animator, but not really. It's just animation, right? It's a lot more than just animation. Is that fair? I'm not sure. Depends on what they're actually looking for. Sometimes studios don't even know what they're looking for, to be honest. They say animator, but then you look at the description, it's like not even close to animator. So yeah, sometimes it's more of a generalist thing, but it won't hurt to have knowledge in different areas. And I think one last thing that I would do, and this is not just because of the situation in the industry, but just because of the nature of the industry, even before this mass layoffs and the tough time in the industry, I think it was already more of a nomadic life, I guess, for animators. And unless you find the rare case where you can settle down at a studio for many years to come, but even then, there's not, in my opinion, there's not such thing as stability. Sooner or later you might end up looking for another job, and that means a lot of things are moving and you might not have a paycheck anymore. So the other thing I came up with, no, I didn't come up with. The other thing I thought about when I was editing this is you can also start your own projects, I know that if you have a family or you have other things, it can be busy and it can take longer. But it's definitely a good thing to consider because now you become the owner of whatever project you want to make, and you don't depend on others to do that. You never know where that can go. So it's a good time to try that. There's a bunch of tools and it's never been easier. Myself, I'm trying a couple things and I would like to share that with you as well at some point. But yeah, it's taken a long time, especially having to balance so many things in my life right now. But yeah, do not disregard that. Some people may not want to do it, and that's totally fine. But I think it's never been easier, and it's a good thing to try out and see what happens. So it might be a good opportunity for that as well. Whether you have the job or not right now, so yeah, I just wanted to interject with that. Something I would recommend is for artists, especially because we don't like to think about this stuff, but learn about money. Learn a bit about money. I had no idea about money at all, any idea about investments or anything like that. So when I started, working in the US, I was just getting paid and just go straight to the bank, and money sat there. But later on, I started learning a bit more about money due to other issues that led me to be interested in that because I didn't want to find myself in a situation where I was so tight with money anymore. to avoid that, I started learning. There's a couple like super quick places to start. Is the Dave Ramsey. You can start listening to the show. You can buy the books. Those are really great as a foundation. And then there was a couple of channels. One of them was Graham Stefan, I think his name is, or pronounced. And that was a really good channel. You have to put yourself a filter as well of, what's things that they're just selling to you, or versus what is actual good advice, And a book I found useful was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, I think is his name. That one was probably one of the best ones for me. I learned like a lot of the personal finances tips and tricks, and you just want to find yourself in a situation where if you no longer have a job, you can sustain yourself for 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, without any income. So that's not something that as an artist you think you're like, oh, that's the money thing is for rich people, but it's definitely worth it. You can put yourself in a good situation before you find yourself in a spot where you have no income. So yeah, guys, I normally don't write any scripts. I just go and talk to the camera. I do make cuts because my brain doesn't like flow very well. I have to think about this stuff. This is the stuff that just came to my mind just right now, and I wanted to share with you guys. And if anything else comes to mind, I'll make sure to share it. So yeah, I don't think animation is over. Art is not over. This entertainment industry is going through a rough time right now, and let's look at the positive sides of things too. That is that a lot of smaller studios are popping up, and also I noticed that there's studios like Agora, which I'm working for right now. I don't represent them at all here, but I want to give a shout out there for places like Agora. And I think there's another one called Rekindled that is doing a similar thing, where it's like a hub, I guess, where different studios can outsource the animation work, and you get hired through them to work for a different studio and different projects. So I think that may be a big deal in the future. We might end up working through studios like this in the future, and that's not too bad of a thing. You find yourself working for a company one day on a X project, and then you jump into another project for a different company, and they keep you cycling like that, and that's that's not a bad thing. That's a pretty positive thing that's happening, and you get to work from home, so if you like that, then it's a benefit. So yeah, if there's anything else that comes to mind, I'll make sure to share. But hanging in there, guys. I know this is a tough time, and make sure that you network with honesty. Of course, not like fully interested in, oh, can you get me a job? But like, connect with your peers, people that and those can also help you, through tough situations and land your next gig. So yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and hope it wasn't too boring and too jarring all over the place. There's a lot of things going through my head, so I'm just trying to put an order to it. All right, take care. Bye bye.